So for our fourth video for January, we're going to talk quickly about the 10 Commandments of the Old Testament and then the Great Commandment of the New Testament. So the 10 Commandments, of course, were given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord himself, inscribed into 2 stone tablets. And they go through all of the main requirements of the Old Testament. And these commandments have really stood the test of time as we go forward through the New Testament and into today, and they're still very important. So even though Jesus in the New Testament wiped out the requirement of a lot of the old Mosaic covenant laws, like for example, dietary restrictions, circumcision, things like that, the 10 Commandments are still something that are universal, they're normative, they're things that are good for us to do as Christians, regardless of the time period that they were given to the Israelites. So the 10 Commandments cover behavior as well as some internal thought processes. So the first commandment, I am the Lord your God, you shall not have strange gods before me. We are a monotheistic religion. That means that there's only one God, and that is the way that we should speak and the way that we should behave. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Swearing by God, swear words that include God's name, any use of the term God or Jesus where we're not talking about them or we're not saying their name, addressing them like in prayer, is not something that we should be doing. Remember to keep holy the Lord's Day. Mass is required on Sundays every week. Honor your father and your mother. Treat them with respect. Listen to them. Assist them. You shall not kill. That is also can be broadened to be, not to physically harm another person. Just because hitting someone or punching someone or kicking someone or pushing someone isn't killing them, it's still something that is frowned upon in the spirit of that commandment. You shall not commit adultery as an adult when you are married. Obviously, this would apply to your spouse. However, it can also be seen as, keeping your promises. You shall not steal. We don't take things that don't belong to us. You shall not lie. In some translations, it's referred to as you shall not bear false witness. But either way, it means the same thing. We have to be honest and truthful. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and you shall not covet your neighbor's goods. Obviously, if you don't have a wife, if you're a younger child, that would not apply technically. But the spirit of these 2 commandments, regardless of age, is that we should be satisfied with the many blessings that God has given to us. And we shouldn't worry about what other people have, and we shouldn't spend time wanting what other people have as though we're ungrateful for the things that we do have. These were kind of simplified, though, by Jesus in the New Testament. He was asked, which commandment is the greatest? And Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So sometimes referred to as the golden rule, do unto others what you would have done unto you, treat others the way you want to be treated. So it's basically that you need to love God above all things, and that you need to love your neighbor the way that you would want to be treated, even if they're not somebody that you like or get along with. All people are deserving of respect, and we are called upon to treat our enemies with kindness and fairness and prayer instead of antagonism and aggression. So this is referred to as the main commandment because it is the one command that Jesus gave that kind of sums up the spirit of everything else, to behave with goodness and right judgment towards other people, to not take things that belong to other people, not lie to people, not cheat on people, not be jealous of people, not injure other people, honor other people. And then commandments having to do with respecting God and believing in him and worshiping him. So these are some kind of timeless pieces of biblical commands and biblical wisdom that we should always be striving to follow. Additionally to that, we have the Catholic works of mercy. And these are spiritual and corporal or bodily things that we can do to really live out our calling, to treat other people well, and to show our love for God. So these spiritual works of mercy are to warn sinners or admonish the sinner. It is our job to kindly and gently, but to tell people, when they're sinning, when they're making a big mistake, something that is something that God would not approve of. It is our job to inform people when that is happening, teaching the ignorant, so instructing those who are both inside the faith and outside of the faith on anything that they might be confused about or misguided about, giving advice to those who are confused or counseling the doubtful. Everybody kind of goes through periods of time in their life when, especially times when they're struggling or dealing with hardship, where they might feel like God is not with them. And those are the times when we want to counsel those people and reassure them. Comfort those who suffer, people who are grieving, people who are struggling, being patient with other people. This can be something just like, not tapping your foot in the grocery store line when it's really long, and not huffing when the lady in front of you pulls out her change purse and starts digging for 98 cents. So just being patient with the people around you. Forgiving injuries. So if somebody has wronged you, being able to say, okay, I forgive you, I'm letting it go, and then just moving on with your life. Also, prayer for both the living and the dead. The corporal works of mercy, which are physical actions that we can do to support others, come directly from Matthew chapter 25, where Jesus actually lists these out. The spiritual works of mercy are gathered from the example that Jesus and the disciples set. But the corporal works of mercy are specifically listed by Christ. And that is to feed the hungry, whether that's by donating, by volunteering in a soup kitchen, give drink to the thirsty. That could be, obviously it was more pertinent back then when they had like wells and you had to draw water for people. But even now, donating beverages, or if somebody is working at your house on, cutting a tree down or gardening or something like that, offering them a beverage. Clothe the naked, donating clothing. Visit those in prison. There are a lot of prison ministries around. Obviously, these are pretty much confined to adult volunteers, so it wouldn't quite yet be applicable to anyone who is under the age of 18. But you can visit those who are awaiting sentencing and trying to turn them from a life of crime into a life that respects God and respects Jesus. Sheltering the homeless. Obviously, these days we don't invite homeless people off the street to come live in our houses, but there are plenty of other ways to participate in ministry to the homeless by donations, whether of time, goods, service, money. Visiting the sick, making sure that we are spending time with the elderly or donating toys to kids in the hospital, where we can make an impact on people that might be isolated or lonely, especially during this time of COVID, sending people letters or calling them, FaceTiming with them. And then as well, bury the dead. Bury the dead is very linked to the 1st century. So nowadays when somebody passes away, we contact a funeral home and they take care of everything. They take care of the body, and they take care of digging the hole in the ground and all of those things. And we have very little to do except show up. But back then, if your family member passed away, you were responsible for preparing the body for burial. You were responsible for digging the grave and then filling the grave back up. So it was a very big responsibility, and especially in Jesus's lifetime, both before and after. If you didn't bury someone, it was an extreme insult to them. You were leaving their body open to be eaten by scavengers, and to be disrespected or desecrated by people or animals. And that was just a grave disrespect to that person in their life. So it was very important to make sure you were fulfilling your obligation to them by burying them. Today we can do that by ensuring that we are taking the time to have a proper burial and to have a mass for the person who has passed away. But we can also give back to the dead by participating in bereavement. We have like a bereavement group here at the church where they'll go and speak with members of the family and offer them comfort. We also have people that will just do acts of charity and service at various cemeteries. For example, my dad, he has 3 younger brothers and sisters that passed away as infants. He goes every year and he cleans up their headstones, and he does all the other headstones of in like the infant cemetery where they're buried, and there's about 400 in some of those. And he spends about a week there, and he will clean up all the extra grass and edge the stones so that they look nice. And those are some ways that we can give back to those who have passed away and honor their memories.